Uh-oh. I think I may have gotten disconnected. I'm being silenced by the breast milk lobby.
For big breast.
Welcome to Sad Boys, a podcast about feelings and other things also. I'm Jarvis.
And I'm Jordan. I don't have a joke this time to go with my name.
That's sad.
It's fine, right?
Today, we're joined by a very special guest. You know him from the Horse Hoops podcast. You know him from the Potterless podcast. Or maybe you know him from the brand new podcast, Meddling Adults. It's Mike Schubert, everybody.
Hello. Wow. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so happy to be a sad boy.
Yeah.
Was that like a choir style audience job?
Oh, that's everybody's like, that's what you're supposed to do in church instead of clap.
It is Sunday, so, we're on brand.
Yeah. That's
Labor Day weekend, the Lord's weekend.
Welcome to the Church Boys, a podcast about God.
Bless up.
And that's it.
What do you think?
Bless up.
I went to Catholic school for 12 years. I can speak to it.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Maybe we should talk about that at some
Look
point.
at that form.
We haven't. Wow,
at
that
that
was
rev.
incredible.
It is ready to rock.
That was. You had to do it to him.
I had
but
to.
with prayer hands. So we are having Mike on today. We're just gonna gab, hang out. Yeah, we should put a laugh track on this podcast. Talk about why personally I have my selfish interests of talking about things that Mike is an expert in and that I am curious about, like basketball and Potterless, which I assume is a podcast about the alternate universe where J.K. Rowling never said anything transphobic.
God, I mean, it wasn't that originally, but now it is.
Yeah. Okay. This story checks out. But first, Mike, how was your week?
It was good. It was an interesting week in that we had come back from Texas. I spent like 2 months in Texas just being with family since my wife can just work from home now because of the world.
Okay.
And
Flex. Wife flex. That's cool. My wife. Okay.
Nice.
We see you.
Oh, yeah. My wife that,
Wow.
Very
can.
nice. Yeah. You've got all your fingers. All right.
All
cool.
right. That's very nice. Cool.
So we just got back, but actually a friend of ours was giving birth to another human. So we had to watch over their kids while they were
This
in
was like a
hospital.
hobby or like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were just doing it for fun.
Just
I mean,
for
it is
fun?
their fourth kid, so I guess it's a bit of a
Wow.
hobby for them at this point.
And it is a kid. They didn't give birth to like an adult.
Nah, unfortunately.
I checked in with Malcolm Gladwell and she's definitely got 10,000 hours in
Yeah.
in gestating a child. So
That's the point where it doesn't hurt.
that's when you're a true expert at it.
Yeah, so we actually got to go over and babysit the kids, which was fun. I got
that's
to play
adorable.
the great game of What's This? Like 1,000 times, where kids just ask you questions and you have to answer things that you didn't think you'd ever have to describe before. Like one of the things they asked me, what's pinball? And I had to describe pinball. And let me tell you, pinball sounds very boring when you're explaining it to a 7-year-old. Like, oh, there's a metal ball and it rolls down a slanted glass encased ramp and you try to keep it up with plastic flippers.
Oh, I feel like if you had just been like, it's a game, it's an old game, they'd be like, okay, and then like walk away, you know?
Well, I
It's
did
like
say
glass Fortnite.
it's a glass Fortnite, yeah.
I started by saying it's a game for old people, and he was like, "What do you mean?" And I was
Oh,
like, "Oh
wow.
God,
Well,
no!"
they're, like,
So yeah,
they
I had
asked
to.
the questions.
I had to double down and actually explain it.
I feel like my way of describing things to children now would be to start from iPad and then work backwards from there. It's like an iPad game, but it's in real life and it's very large and it takes up a lot of space because back in the old days, we weren't smart and we didn't have the technology that we have now.
Yeah. When I talk to a young kid about technology now, I feel like I'm Amish. I'm just like, it's like an iPad. And and they go like, you mean the iPad original that's now advanced into Klimpomp? I'm like,
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And it
Flappy
was,
Bird 2 with RPG mechanics.
I love that kids can't talk, but they could probably like make an app faster than I could. Like that upsets me, I think.
Yeah, has the baby made an app yet, or is it just kind of a loser?
It's just understanding the concept of like breastfeeding and stuff.
I'm an expert. Yeah.
That thought the mom's nose was the nipple, so
Lazy. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Jarvis is notoriously an expert.
World renowned expert at breastfeeding.
I did it for years.
I do want to ask about your week, but a quick point on this breastfeeding meme. I recently...
Yeah, because I have no idea what's happening, so I'm glad that I can finally learn, because I'm just like seeing tweets and it's like, clearly some YouTube video Jarvis made talked about breast milk, but I missed it, so I'm very happy right now.
Well, the update... Welcome to the Explaining the Joke, a segment where we take the fun out of everything. I'm Jarvis, and I have made several videos talking about animated stories that claim to be from real kids, but the second you investigate like any further, you find out that it's almost definitely a content farm that is just trying to make money pretending.
And then the elevator clapped.
Yeah. A channel made a video that, for lack of a better term, used my likeness about being, and then the story told in the video was about an adult being addicted to breast milk. And also, not only was it using my likeness, but the person's name was Jarvis, and they were wearing a shirt that instead of saying "trying my best" said "breast is best." And
so it was like 100% no doubt.
It was a hit job, I think, actually.
Full shade, no cap. It was incredible.
What I've learned recently is like, to me, it's clear that it was like some edgelord trying to, I don't know, do what edgy people think they're doing. Like, it's like you think you did something. And I have recently discovered some intel because this channel is reaching out for Instagram promotions. The people who made such famous videos as, I'm an adult that drinks breast milk, whatever the fuck it's called. Like Jarvis is a pussy ass bitch, I think is the title. And then, and then also My Mom Loves My Cream, which is a video that looks and is awful. So it turns out that they think this channel is like presenting itself as if they're making some big societal commentary because like YouTube has become too PC and people are so easily triggered and yada, yada, yada. And the way that they're going to show it to everybody, the way that they're going to stick it to the man and community is by fucking, I think I may have gotten disconnected. I'm being silenced by the breast milk lobby.
By Big Breast.
I'm being silenced by Big Booby. So I'm here to speak my truth. I'm here to tell my story, and they don't want me to be heard. So what I found out is this channel is like asking people for like Instagram promos, and their big thing is like, YouTube's too PC, yada yada yada, and this is how I'm going to stick it to them. But I think that like for me, the critical missing link in this content, which is something that I said when I made the video about it, is that it doesn't matter if it's a joke, because if no one knows it's a joke, then it is just the thing that is bad. You know what I mean? Like, right. And it's like, there are people who are like, oh, obviously this is trolling, but it kind of doesn't matter because not everyone knows. And so the damage is like already done. And it's not even that like there's big damage to be done here. It's just like another shitty channel. So like my point is like, you've really done nothing but make a bad version of the thing that you're parodying without the wink and the nod to the audience to like have them feel smart for getting it, because it's too much the thing that it's making fun of rather than like a parody of the thing. There's no parody.
There's no link of you to breast milk. It's just like, let's make fun of this guy.
Sure.
And here's how we're going to do it.
In their defense, you did at one point drink breast milk, and you have to admit that.
Well, like when you was a baby?
That's true. Yeah. No, I can't deny. I can't deny.
Tactless.
My first words were breast is best. The thing though is that I'm not even talking about me. It's more just like the channel itself is like all of the videos are just videos that do exist on all these other like shitty channels. So without any additional commentary or context, I don't really know if there's a joke there. Anyway.
What I appreciate so much about the breast is best video is that it's just aggressive.
Yeah.
It's like a genuinely transgressive video. There's kind of a bit there, as you say, and they're clearly like mocking and taking a shot at you, but it's basically just like you can, in the writing and even the performance, you can feel this tension just like, oh, fuck you, man. Yeah. It's like just like this constant. Like,
I don't actually think
they're genuinely angry.
I don't actually think that the people who made it have a problem with me even. Like, I think it's just to like get a reaction. So I wasn't offended by it at all. And I made a video about it knowing full well that that's what they wanted me to do, because I was like, I get 1 million views if I make this video, and I get a viral tweet out of it. And like their video still has like 100,000 views. And it's not monetized.
That YouTube flex.
So it's like, no, I'm just saying, like, it's like, I actually get a lot of benefit from like having something to talk about. Whereas, Whereas, I mean, like they do I'm happy to fake beef with channels. People eat that shit up. Anyway, that's enough of.
You should post an apology to them.
A notes app. Yeah. I really didn't want to make this video, but I have to come to terms with the fact that breast is best. Jordan, I was going to ask, how was your week?
It's good. It's actually very good.
That's nice.
It's been a sequence of good things. It's been quite some time since there was a sequence of good things.
That's awesome.
With no caveat, some good kind of
no
approach
cav
to visa stuff.
Like no cap, but no caveat.
No cav, no cap.
This is a pretty good day. No cav.
No caviar? Oh, now it's a bad day.
Damn.
Yeah, no, it's been solid. It's put me in a solid mood. You know, some of the good stuff, and then there's other things like my stream has just been really, really fun. People have been
awesome.
Really lovely. PC arriving soon, which I'm fucking jazzed about.
Oh yeah, I sent off Jordan's PC. Fingers crossed that it arrives when it's supposed to and in one piece.
Well, no, it'd be fun to put the Lego pieces back together again. Well, yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of little coincidences that just put me in a good mood, and I don't know. I'm feeling a little brighter for the first time in a long time.
Hey, that's good. I like that.
Do I articulate that in a more detailed way? No, I don't.
No.
Actually, podcast listener, you haven't earned it from me. I'll tell you what you have earned from me, though. Details about Mike Schubert's week. Shubes.
Oh, wait. We already asked him.
Oh, wait. No, I meant Jarvis.
Damn.
Actually, no, fuck it. Shubes.
Ask Shubes again. That's fine.
I thought the first one sucked.
Watched a lot of basketball, and that was good. If we need a segue for you to,
Nice.
to ask me about it. But yeah, the playoffs were super fun.
Hello, guys. I'd really like to talk about my week, if that's okay.
Do it.
That's fine.
Okay.
Wait, Tyler, cut this out.
Oh, all right. Well, I mean, if we're going to cut it out, I don't need to talk about it. I just wanted to have fun and share with my friends.
No, please, fire away. It just won't be in the episode, and I'm going to take my headphones out.
Oh, well.
Sorry, dude. I feel like I'm being aggressive. It's only because I don't like or respect you. It's not like I'm not trying to be an asshole.
No, I understand. It's completely warranted.
Sure.
I asked
me and
for
Shubes
this,
were talking
actually,
about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a good week.
Tight, man. So what's up with people? These ankle breakers, these shoop to whoops, man.
these shoop to whoops. Nothing but the bottom of the net. Am I right?
Yes.
Jay, what's up, my guy?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
It's a good week. I think. What day is it? When are we? Who am I?
What day is this?
It's a recovery week for me. I think I had a bad week last week, just in terms of stress and stuff, and I kind of knew what I needed to do. I knew that I needed to make sure I was taking care of myself, like stop neglecting any and all self-care in favor of work. Hot take, maybe it's good to have balance instead of just only working and then becoming exhausted. You know, it's not instantaneous. I still have like a lot of catching up to do in terms of taking care of myself and cleaning up my apartment and shit like that. But I've started making those strides. And so it's like incremental, and I'm taking it slow. I'm like, working on a video where I'm not rushing to get it out because it's doesn't have a brand deal on it, so it doesn't really matter when it comes out. And so I'm just trying to have fun. I'm just trying to have fun and appreciate stuff.
Do you notice a change in your habits that comes in that direction? Because some people always espouse the benefit of, hey, change your day-to-day habits and that'll improve your mood. Whereas often, if coincidentally, or not even coincidentally, but you just change your mindset. When you think happy and thus are happy.
Oh, think happy, you stay happy.
You can stay happy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always a world where you do that, and then all of a sudden, oh wait, I'm staying in touch with my friends more, or I'm playing more Smash.
In my life, I think it's very much like when it rains, it pours in both directions. So it feels like when things are going well, I'm on top of everything. Like all of my habits are handled, like the dishes are clean, the room is tidy, and also I'm feeling energized and productive at work. And then something drifts out of sync, like I'm riding that good feels wave for a while, and then things start to drift out of sync and drift out of balance. I lose my balance, I fall off my surfboard, I crash. Right now I'm in the period of the deep. Not right now, I'm in the deep, and
you're swimming back to your surfboard.
I'm swimming back to my surfboard.
Top.
I'm trying to get back on top. I'm going to catch the wave again, and then I'm going to ride it for as long as I can. So I'm getting back on the board this week. The only thing that I try to keep in mind is whenever I'm riding that wave, trying to do things that help me stay in it for longer, if that makes sense. So like while I have this energy, let me try to use it in a productive way rather than like expending that energy and then falling off my board sooner. rather than later or whatever.
Yeah, ride that momentum.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's like, it really is, to switch metaphors, like when the bank is full of like goodwill and energy, it's easy to be my best self, to be like, oh, if everything like has a price to it, and it's like, oh, pick up, the dishes when you're done using them and put them in the sink, and even wash the dishes. That costs $10 and it pays you back $8. Or maybe it even like gives me back $8, and then it also gives me a few shares in future happiness that'll like appreciate over time. Yeah. To continue this metaphor. Sometimes I run low on liquidity and I like overdraw from the bank, even if I've got some irons in the fire that'll pay off later. This metaphor is like surprisingly working for me. I'm sorry to subject you all to it, but yeah, I do love a good metaphor.
I think it's also like with these kind of things, sometimes it's like important to choose like which thing makes the most sense for you to do right now. Like this past week, I got a late start to getting Monday's episode of Potterless out because of caring for the kids while the baby's being born. Yeah. And I was up like really late one night editing, and I was like, I got to get this editing done. But my brain was just like done with it. And I did have a lot of like cleaning around the apartment I could do. So I was like, while my brain is not in the right space to do a bunch of editing, I'll do a bunch of cleaning because that's more mindless. And then I'll like throw on headphones and listen to a podcast and something that'll like kickstart me to do it. And then I'll be happier later because then I won't have to do it.
The dream is that it provides you with a little bit of the mental acuity you'd need to then come back to the edit with a sense of, oh, I'm a human being and I matter and I can do things.
I did a thing.
It's worth sustaining myself.
Also, I like a feeling that I could definitely get addicted to. I won't say that I'm addicted to it yet, but I would love it if I was. Is when you do something productive for yourself. Let's say I clean my living room. I go to bed. I wake up the next morning. I'm getting ready to go to work. I walk to the kitchen to like make my coffee, and I'm like, whoa, this living room is clean. That is a good, that's like, it almost feels like I'm in Mario Kart and I just like ran over one of those like boost strips that like makes me go even faster. It's like, I was like, whoa, I didn't even realize I would get this extra boost just from some work that I did the other day. For me, falling out of balance is me losing sight that doing those things is actually going to fill up my bank rather than deplete it. So anyway, that's been Sad Boys, podcast about feelings. And now we're moving on to Basketball Boys, because I do like a sport. We talked about this on the Drew Gooden episode, and not the basketball player. And we have a expert in our midst, self-proclaimed. We don't think so, but he's full of himself.
I do run around saying this all the time. Yeah, you're right.
And the NBA playoffs are upon us.
Yes,
and we've had a few game sevens. We've had a very dramatic turn. We've had very dramatic turns of events. And
I should put on this.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah.
There we are.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. NBA correspondent Mike Schubert.
Wait a second. Your expression changed. You shifted posture. You became basketball.
Sorry. Can I just break to say I really hope that like people who stream 2K have on a headset then with a sweatband over the headset.
It was a fun look to have it go over the headphones. Yeah. It made me feel powerful.
Like Bronny James or whatever. Isn't he really good at 2K?
He just got signed by some
like TSM or something.
Some team.
Somebody.
I know that they are good because a lot of people in the comments were like, "This is dumb." So I know they are good.
I think that was the thing. People were like nepotism, something, and then other people were like, "No, he's actually quite good at 2K.
He's very good."
And also, you would imagine he's got a pretty good basketball mind considering his experience with the sport.
Sure, nepotism can play a form in any media, but I think the risk of putting somebody on your small list of players is maybe not worth it. I think they would only put on actual players.
Speaking of traditional signings, it's funny to say traditional in the context of esports, but are you guys familiar? And I do want to get to Basketball Boys, but this is a little bit of a sports corner, but nerd style sports corner. Are you guys familiar with how chess has become a huge esport?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know it was becoming a big esport. It's become big in my life because I already played chess against one of my best friends quite regularly.
Right.
And now that I can't play real sports because of COVID, chess has kind of like satiated my competitive desire when
you say real sports, I don't understand. Is it?
Sorry, physical sports with multiple people.
Weird.
You usually play chess on like a basketball-sized court.
Yes. 2 chairs, middle of the court, lots of people around watching, sweating on each other.
Yeah, and you do beat the shit out of anyone that you you take. If you're able to diagonally take a pawn, you do tackle them to the ground.
It does seem like games where you don't need to be in person to play them have a lot less risk. You know, like objectively bad better. I don't know what this sports thing you're talking about, but I'll hear you out in a second. But yeah, so TSM just signed this guy Hikaru. So it's Hikaru Nakamura. He's like a chess grandmaster. He's a very, very good chess player. And he's, I'd say, the first person to open up the chess world to the general esports world, because he can put on his performance hat as a streamer and be a very entertaining educator in terms of the game. And kind of when you're watching anybody who's like an expert of like, let's say Fortnite or Counter-Strike or something, and you're just like in awe of their skill, I think he has a lot of those benefits. But what's interesting to me is that I don't know currently if there's other big chess people.
There are many.
I just mean an is anyone else going to like, because
like as Cloud9 got Kasparov,
Hikaru is pulling in like 17K concurrents and stuff on his streams.
Wow.
But like no one else in chess, to my knowledge, is getting anywhere close to that. Like, I think there's also a conversation about like when someone big in the community gets big, how that runs off to the rest of the community. But I know that a lot of big Twitch, like QXC or XQC or whatever his name is, was playing a lot of chess, and then like Critical and a lot of other big streamers are playing chess now, but not people from the chess world. And so I'm interested to see like, you know, like even Magnus Carlsen, who's like the biggest troll, but also big chess brain. I don't know if he has any interest in entering that type of thing. So it's kind of just like a sponsorship and content deal, I suppose.
Yeah. I would have to assume that there's going to be more trickle from existing esports folk, or at the very least like high tier players on Twitch through to chess, than there is from the traditional chess world into esports.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a lot of elitism I've been seeing, like where Critical has had a couple of videos about this, where the chess streamers talk about these Twitch streamers as being like talentless and like people who don't have like it's like very elitist.
Are there any two communities in the world that are more gatekeepy?
Yeah, I was like, wow, like why be so gatekeepy about this? I don't understand. The game is so
two
old.
bouncers standing in front of two different clubs looking at each other.
Like I'm like, chess hasn't had a balance patch in 600 years. Like I don't understand how you
free
could
to
be
play for so long.
Yeah. I don't understand why you're trying to like
Night OP
gatekeep this. Everyone knows the queen needs a nerf. Like come on.
It's crazy.
I don't know. But it's interesting. What do you think the next big traditional game or sport to turn esport will be?
Has Catan popped off as an esport yet? Because I've been also playing a lot of online Catan.
I don't think it's popped off quite yet as an esport, though I do think there's some sort of European board game craze could be big.
Yeah. That would be my guess.
Dominion.
Is just some board game that's very popular. I could see like if people really get into like that, or like Splendor, or even something as old and awful as Monopoly. I could see like a board game that many people know, because it's like the next step of niche from chess, which is like a well-known just like game that's existed forever.
Do you think the Mormon Church would be willing to invest the money to really make the Game of Life pop off in the esports scene?
Is the Game of Life a Mormon thing?
It is a Mormon production.
Whoa, I didn't realize that. That's why you get so many points for having so many kids.
Mm-hmm.
And famously, Monopoly was like an anti-capitalist criticism
like a
of
satire.
It's like satire of like Great Depression America that was ironically kind of stolen and reattributed to this businessman. And kind of proves the entire point of the whole thing. But
yep. Shout out John Green has a great episode of the Anthropocene Reviewed about it.
Oh yeah, shout out to I would say friend of the pod, but
up and coming YouTuber /
author John Green. I'm one day going to ask him to be on the pod, and he will decline, but he will probably reply. At least he will reply to my email declining me. That'll be nice.
I'm sure the God no, why would I do that will be pretty polite.
Yeah. I'm trying to make Sad Boys just like a hodgepodge of guests that you don't think would have anything in common, but the thing that they have in common is that we want them to come on the pod.
It's a pretty good way to go. Yeah.
And that there will be consequences if
unless someone makes the big Pixar It All Happens in the Same Universe thing where they draw like yarn strings between all the guests. How it's all intertwined.
I would love to have Easter eggs in YouTube. For the longest time, I've wanted to add things to my videos that create like a very long-term lore. And one, I'm just bad at remembering to bring things back. Like there was a time travel bit that I did where I said something about like 6 months in the future. And then I started getting tweets about, it's been 6 months. And I was like, oh, right, I should like make this reference. And like, I never did.
I tried to do that when I made YouTube videos. I would always put the same pair of pajama pants in the back, but in like a different spot every single time.
Yeah.
Just because I was always like doing it in my room, so they were always there. But I was like, if I just keep doing this, maybe at one point someone will comment like, "Why are the pajama pants always in a different spot?" And no one ever did it.
I've got a few Easter eggs and things, but I want to get swifty. I want to like make it. I want something to like live for a long time in like the background, and then have it sort of pay off at some point.
You should just get a plant. Just like have a plant in the back, and everyone could be like, the plant's doing so well.
That's actually a great idea. So the last thing I'll say on the chess thing is I would not be surprised if there's a company working tirelessly right now to create a game that is essentially chess, but then with balance patches. like I think that would be interesting. It would level the playing field between like the esports crowd and the traditional chess crowd, and is probably I was just thinking about like the gamer brain and how there's a lot of history to chess and a lot of memorization because we're not computers, and computers are better than people at chess, and a lot of things is like pattern matching from previous situations and knowing how they pan out because of your like knowledge of the game.
A ton of meta play based on expectation.
Yeah, and
like there are objectively the ways to play heroes in Overwatch at a competitive level, but now they'll fuck up the team comp on purpose to trick like Cloud9 into playing a certain way.
And so I would love to see
what is the difference between chess and battle chess? Because I knew that the esport battle chess was very lightly popular.
I have no idea what battle chess is. Maybe this thing already exists.
There's features that are different, and there's not a ton of games that indulge in it. We should just ask our friend Jeff about it, because he literally just created a chess game, and now he's reaching out to streamers and esports players.
Wait, Jeff as in
clearly Jeff's son.
Oh, that's sick. I need to catch up with that guy. Anyway,
His name is Jeff.
Anyway, that's enough of that. Now I want to hear about basketball from our resident NBA expert, Mike Schubert. What's happening in the world of basketball?
Okay, headbands on, ready to go. So the NBA playoffs are happening, and they have been truly dramatic in that we've had a lot of game sevens. We have had games that have come down to buzzer beaters. We have had very stressful games that are very good in terms of like both teams are playing so well that it's back and forth and stressful. We've also had ones that are stressful where the teams are playing so poorly that it's a question of who's going to mess up more and then lose the game. So there's just been like every single type of game. There have been upsets and all this, and it's just been a very intense playoffs so far, and it's like not even at the halfway point.
So follow up. We're in a bubble. I think we briefly talked about this on a previous episode. And no, we're not talking about how we only listen to things that confirm our existing beliefs, but the NBA is in a bubble. Literally, they're in Orlando.
Yes, they are.
Okay, yeah. They're in
the Disney Wide World Sports Complex.
Right. So the players of all the teams, except for, was there a team that opted out?
So they first invited 22 teams out of the 30. My favorite team, the Knicks, got left home because we were so bad that we had no shot of making the playoffs. So they said, don't bother. So they had 22 teams.
Don't bother killing all of our players just to be bad at the game.
They had 22 teams that like conceivably some of the teams, because the top 8 from each conference go. So they had like 3 extras on each conference to see like you guys could fight your way into the playoffs.
Right.
And then now what is happening is as the playoffs go and teams get eliminated, those teams have to leave. What is a fun thing though is now that some of the teams have made it farther and other teams have gone home, those players and the referees as well can have like family members or significant others come and stay where the other teams used to be, since now they have room at the complex. So
interesting.
A fun added benefit of your team going in the next round is like, oh, my wife can come.
You get more emotional support. That's actually that feels
great.
That's good, and like weirdly like feels like a hostage situation where it's like if you don't win this game, you don't get to see your family. Yeah. Or I guess you do get to see your family either way. Yeah.
It's just you don't get to play basketball and see your family.
I know, and those are my 2 favorite things.
I know.
It's like being a Jedi. You have to make the choice.
So I have a lot of questions about this. So my understanding, or like what I've heard through the grapevine, is that there's been a lot of shakeups and unexpected happenings in the bubble for unknown reasons. Oh wait, real quick. When the teams leave, do they quarantine for 2 weeks before they leave, or do they just like jettison them out
No,
of the...
they kick them out of the bubble like the day after your team's eliminated. You have to go.
I don't know because if that's safe.
Wow.
It's because
they forced them to go to an influencer party.
It's because they don't want to waste, I guess, money and testing on them.
Right, but I'm just like, I guess if they're tested, but I'm also just worried about, it's kind of like when they're sending everybody home from schools. It's like, great, you had a bunch of people infected with COVID and now you're sending them all across the US. Like that's
what I will say is that the players get tested every single day.
Okay.
So there is the teams that are leaving do not have COVID.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. So I was asking about the craziness that's gone down in the bubble because, like, my understanding is that some very unexpected happenings have occurred in terms of team performance.
Yes. Most notably the Milwaukee Bucks, who were the best team in the entire league by record. And they have the person who has already won Defensive Player of the Year. He will probably also win Most Valuable Player
is that,
for the season.
Giannis?
Giannis Antetokounmpo, the big Greek boy.
Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yeah, I know that. I've watched many a video about his athleticism and how he's amazing at basketball.
And his Greekness.
It's terrifying. He's an alien from the planet Dunk.
Yeah.
It's just...
It's like...
it's unfathomable that I'm the same species as him.
Yeah. Which is cool. Like, I mean... It's
Congrats,
nice,
man.
Yeah. Also... so I heard something about how institutionalized racism works, where Giannis didn't have citizenship in any country, despite the fact that he was born in Greece for a while. Anastasia would know, but I remember hearing something about this, but I won't. We won't follow up on that now because I guess no one else knows but me, or I'm lying. I don't know. So okay, so the Bucks haven't been doing well.
They have been playing very poorly.
Yeah.
They struggled a bit in their first round series and now in the second round against the Miami Heat, who people didn't think were that good. They have been playing better than expected, and the Bucks are down 3-0 currently against the Heat, which is a big shakeup because a lot of people picked the Bucks to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
And they might lose second round.
In like 4 games, seems.
Yeah, they might get swept.
Is there any correlation at all between like the respective place of the team and how well they are dealing with COVID-19?
Oh, like is it a location wise?
What do people think the contributing factors of, like, let's say the Bucks not performing well are?
The biggest confusion about it is that his coach, the coach of the Bucks, is not playing Giannis a lot of minutes. So that either means Giannis has an injury that they're not really telling people about. And there was reports that he has a sprained ankle. So that might be it. Or the coach is just not doing a very good job because he has what should be the best player in the league right now, and he's not playing him as much as he can. So that's one question mark.
And he's still young, right?
Yeah, he's young. He's probably like 26, maybe.
Is there a rationale at all, like traditionally in coaching, where you would want to retain a player like that for the more competitive bouts later on if you're able to?
That's more of like you would save someone during the regular season, and then now in the playoffs you would play them a lot more. So that's the confusion. Like during the regular season, their team was doing so well and Giannis wasn't playing a lot of minutes, but they didn't really need him to because they were beating these, they'd be up by like 10 or 20 points with only a couple minutes left, so just sit him. But now it's the playoffs, so it's like he should be playing a whole lot of minutes.
And they're down 0-3. It seems like they should be playing their best players at all times, so that they don't get eliminated in short order.
Exactly.
Yeah, this would be the time to drink some of Michael's special stuff.
break glass in case of emergency. Okay,
right.
So what else is crazy that's happening in the bubble?
There is a player named Jamal Murray who was not he was good, but not oh my goodness status. And since the playoffs have started, he has just shot a ridiculous percentage from 3-point land. He had multiple games where he scored 50 points, like back to back. There were like 4 games in a row where he scored above 40 points. It was just, he has gone completely basketball bonkers in the playoffs.
He's leveled up. He's got the virus, but he's got a different kind of virus. Yeah,
it's the hot hand virus. He's just been like playing out of his mind, which is very good. It's the good thing you want to see is people overperforming.
Do you think
that's been awesome?
Do you think that'll translate into like a post-COVID world, or do you think there's something about the air in Orlando that's like?
So there was an interesting thing when the bubble first started because of the way they have it set up. Obviously, there's no like fans in the arena. So you're playing in an arena where it's like mostly dark behind where the basket is. There's just like a backdrop, and then there's no fans. So what some of the people who are more of 3-point shooters were saying is that it's easier with like depth perception to see the rim more clearly, because it's not like a hodgepodge of colors and moving people behind the clear backboard. It's just like a plain steady backdrop.
That's so interesting. Yeah, like if you're in the gym like playing a pickup game, and you're like very good at that, and then you go to the NBA, it's like, I'm not used to this depth of field behind the thing, but this is like closer to watching a gym game or something. And
is it also like way easier to communicate vocally?
Oh, yes, because there's not as much noise going on.
Is that happening, though?
Are they piping noise in?
So, yeah, they are piping in some noise, which is partially to make the players feel more like they're in an arena, and also partially so the TV broadcast feels more like you're watching it.
Yeah.
But also it's there because what was happening early on before they started piping in more noise is you could very clearly hear the basketball players saying lots of curse words to each other.
Yeah.
So the television networks were very concerned with this, and they've had to pipe in noise.
Yeah, it's like, what do you think?
Right.
But that's really funny.
Oh, beans.
You jerk. Get the heck off of me.
You're a real meanie.
Fiddlesticks, my shot isn't performing as expected.
Get that stuff out of my vicinity.
Hey, buddy, you're committing a foul against me.
That's a bunch of baloney, ref.
I would challenge your belief on that particular ruling.
I respectfully disagree, sir.
But carry on.
Yes.
You're in a professional position where I'm not to ask.
That's so funny.
Yeah, that might be why players are shooting better, is because there's no fans.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny. Like the first time I feel like an idiot. The first time you said there's no fans, I was like, ceiling fans? Like there's no wind, like sort of fucking up the trajectory of the basketball. And I was like, well, that makes sense. Yeah.
I think it would be really fun to, like if you play like GoldenEye or something, and you can put in like big head mode or slappers only, or like modify the game, and you do one where nobody's allowed to drink water and there's no air conditioning, and you see how the team performs.
Endurance game.
Yeah, it's like who gets a
Iron
heat
Man.
stroke first? Jesus Christ. I don't want to bore people with basketball talk, but I'm genuinely
Well, can I
fascinated.
ask, partially for my own benefit, but also because Shubes is going to have the insight, is there a particular way you recommend that people with like a soft interest in the sport but didn't grow up with any kind of reference point, or just say theoretically got deported and thus it's harder to keep up with things, what would you say the most effective way of getting into it is? Because it always just felt like a literacy thing for me. I would love to get it and follow the narrative.
Yeah, I think Twitter can really help. There are some great Twitter follows where people.
That's the first time that's ever happened.
Twitter can really help is like a unique sentence that's never once been said before this moment.
NBA Twitter itself, you can follow lots of different people depending on what you're going for. So there are accounts that like just tweet funny stuff. There are accounts that just tweet highlights. There are accounts where they are just the reporters, so they will have insightful articles, or you can have people that are just like talking about the big news. So you can kind of tailor your feed to get whatever you're looking for. Thankfully, the NBA YouTube account does a very solid job of putting up like condensed versions of the game. So they'll have like a highlight of the whole game, and they're always 10 minutes long. So you can basically watch a game,
this is
a
NBA
shorter
YouTube?
version of it, or get caught up. Yeah, it's just the NBA official account on YouTube.
I may have to do that.
They also have like full-length recordings of old games too. So
That's how I got into Melee. Like the Smash Melee esports scene came from compilations that like teach you.
Oh
basically,
yeah,
so you have the history.
I thought you were
and
going to say
context.
you got it from the NBA posted like Smash compilation.
Yeah, they mixed it up.
And then, I mean, to be very selfish, our podcast Horse is literally about what you're describing. Like, we're trying to make a podcast that is accessible to people who have never heard of basketball, but like want to follow it and understand it. So we only talk about the silly things or the entertaining things. We'll talk about the news very briefly and then talk about stories from history.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole podcast exists for what you're asking.
It's exactly my kind of like, I love trivia about things, and basketball is something that like I've kind of been a casual fan of my entire life, just like growing up in a sports town.
Jarvis's hometown is just a basketball court.
It is just a basketball. I love the storylines in esports and regular sports and anything really. So I like love to see that stuff pay off, and catching up on the lore of everything is that's really the shit.
Yeah. I mean, basically every Horse episode is like a third news, a third story from back in the day, and then a third us just talking about subjective things that we like or dislike about the sport. So it kind of covers all your bases of comprehension of basketball.
For
So,
sure. For
yeah.
sure. That concludes Basketball Boys, the segment about basketball.
Basket
That's in
Boys.
every episode, but until now, we've never had anything to say.
Just always edited it out.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
always actually just like 25 minutes of silence, and
Yeah.
retention goes to shit, and I can't tell why.
It's a lot of us just going like, well, I bet. I mean, there must have been a game, right? There had to. I mean, it'd be crazy if there was. They must have played at some point.
It's just reading the Wikipedia page about basketball.
Yeah.
And trying to understand.
Jordan, you had some stuff.
So here's the thing. A lot of people know this about me. I'm incredibly cultured.
True.
We all know that.
Yeah,
I
That's how you
enjoy
grew the mustache.
it's true. I
Yes,
still
the-
can't
the-
figure that out.
It's a one-to-one. People with a mustache and being cultured, or a massive pervert. It's always one of the two.
It's 50-50
I
split.
like to multitask, so I've managed to cover all my goals. I personally am always seeking the next great American novel,
Okay.
and thankfully, Did I mention that I was incredibly cultured? We all know this.
You can say it as
And-
much as you want, though.
The journey's over.
Oh,
Because I have, in fact, found it. And what I want to do is read through a portion of it, and then I'm going to send it to the two of you in the chat. And I'm thinking, I read a portion, then Shubes read a portion. And when it feels organic, you can hand off to Jarvis, Shubes.
okay.
Because I know you've been learning to read, and you're doing great.
So
I
far, so
just
good.
don't want to rush you.
I mean, yeah, I've just read my first set of children's books in the past
That's
3
great.
years. So, yeah.
Wow. And you learned from the children you were looking after the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, one fish, two fish, really good.
Potterless is a podcast about a person who's never read a book. It's
Never read
not a
book.
single book.
You know what?
That is crazy.
You're right. A is for Apple. Good point, fine sir.
F is for friends who do stuff together.
This is just a little piece of work published January 30th of this year.
Okay.
So contemporary novel, modern piece of work, though the work itself could maybe be a period piece. I mean, it's
Modern
it's got
piece of
some
work.
hints.
What is this? My autobiography?
Come on. Leave.
Okay.
Go.
Okay.
It is a K plus, and I won't read the title quite yet because that might give out a little bit about it, but
Okay.
it is by somebody that goes by the Tableman,
Okay.
and it is a fiction K plus English tragedy / spiritual. Words 913, favorites 1, published January 13th of this year, and of course
One
the ID is
favorite.
134-89450. The one favorite was Obama. It was one of his of this year.
Oh, it was on his best books of the year list.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually above Michelle's book, which got it pretty easy for her. But I think you'll see why. Oh, wait, Jarvis, can you put like a fireplace sound effect in the background? Is that possible?
you bet.
Maybe even some light piano?
You bet your sweet ass I can.
Thank you for commenting on my sweet ass.
You bet your sweet ass I am commenting on your sweet ass.
Okay, so again, and this is the portion of the show that... No jokes, because I just want to try and class up the show a little bit. No music.
All right. The music has been paused. You've just got fireplace.
Thank you. The dreamiest man in purple was looking his spiffiest that day, dressed to perfection in the slickest sweater vest anyone had ever seen. He had only just picked it up on the clearance rack, unbeknownst to the casuals, but dang did he look good. Waluigi entered the local burger shop, wowed everyone in the establishment with his razzle-dazzle, and steezily plopped down to study his menu. A shy waitress approached the gorgeous figure's table. "Can I help you, sir?" she stammered, amazed by his formidable jawline. "Yeah!" purred the violent mage of heart stealing. "Give me your finest." He sounds like a flapper.
Yeah.
Of the 20s.
Well, that's what they'll
Give me your finest burger.
It's me, Waluigi. Give me a glass of your finest water.
Sounds like Trumbo. "Give me your finest burger with some delish fries and a diet Pepsi." The waitress fainted as the illustrious sound waves bounced off her. The other workers rushed over to revive her and then quickly scampered back to the kitchen to retrieve their god's holy feast. 5 minutes later, Waluigi was ready to take a bite of his blessed sandwich. It might be a bit rare, my friend. He sank his pristine pearly whites into the bun, slowly incising into the leafy greens, dill pickles, and steamy meats. Most likely, one would relish in the glorious components.
Is that a pun?
However, oh boy, wait a minute, I'm going to favorite this. And do bear in mind, the tag for this was tragedy / spiritual.
Oh, shit.
Oh, no, I'm afraid of the ending now.
Most likely, one would relish in the glorious components. However, the warlord of love was far from impressed. The owner of the restaurant quaked in his boots as he saw the dissatisfied expression the customers displayed. The consumer displayed. Apologies. I'm sorry for fucking up this important work, the next great American
Capitalism.
I'm just relishing in this story and listening to the
like
fireplace.
a warlord of love.
Yeah.
He prepared to fire everyone in the vicinity, including the other customers. It's not bad, sighed Waluigi, twirling his gelled nasal hair as he took in the burger's
Gelled
aura like a
nasal
critic
hair.
of fine art. Is that a mustache? Surely. Because it's not interior. You can't gel that.
Oh,
Surely.
I'm imagining he's gelled the
Oh
inside of
my
his nose.
god, that is.
But I think you are correct. It's probably mustache because how else would he get it to be like that? But my first thought was...
Well, my first thought was
because
that,
otherwise this would be unrealistic.
I'm sorry. My first thought was... Wow.
Hey, see? It's not bad, said Waluigi, twirling his gelled nasal hair. That's the worst thing I've ever read, as he took in the burger's aura like a critic of fine art. It's just missing a smeech of something. You get me, boys? Now, Shoes, would you like to read a portion starting at "Own of the Chef Snotted"?
Yes.
Can we recap what we've heard so far? So
The horrible
Waluigi
war crime that we've read? Sure.
is at a restaurant. He's wearing purple. He has gelled nasal hair, and so
And
far
hell of a jawline.
hell of a jawline.
A jawline so powerful that it caused the waitress to faint.
And so far, it's really just about his order. Is that
Yes.
Okay.
Which he's mostly dissatisfied with, and the owner himself is pretty upset about that and is willing to fire everyone, including the customers.
okay? Great.
I do like that you've had me start on a typo where it says "own of the chefs" instead of "one of the chefs."
Look, language is fluid; it evolves over time. And
Language is evolving at a rapid rate based on this.
I'm sorry. Excuse me, Mr. Immortal Bard, but these words aren't real. Get your head out your ass, Tubes.
Okay, I'm gonna hold my pop filter up here just so I can really get up close to the mic, but not
Okay.
ruin the audio.
Okay. Okay.
Please, I
Hemingway.
want to make it as intimate as possible.
I do. Own of the chefs nodded and hurriedly slammed a bottle of ketchup onto Waluigi's table. Waluigi gave him a wink of agreement and popped the cap off the crimson container.
I'm a Papa Cap in this crimson. Sorry.
The owner breathed a sigh of relief and promoted the chef to Ultra Chef Omega.
I assume there's some sort of magical girl sequence where he upgrades.
That's when you get dark magic.
Yeah.
Waluigi poured an ample amount of the tomato condiment onto his open bun.
That sounds
He
sexual.
slowly... Oh, yeah,
On top
it
of
does.
his gelled facial.
His open bun.
On top of his bare ass. He slowly pressed the slices back together in a slow, orderly fashion. He smiled in contentment and brought the meal ever so close to his kissable lips. And then tragedy struck. Here we get the tragedy / spiritual.
Oh no.
A minute splash followed a thick chew that echoed across all four walls of the establishment. All of a sudden, Waluigi's worst fears had been realized. His burger had leaked, and a ketchup droplet had escaped the stacked collection. To seal the deal, the droplet destination could not have been any more conveniently horrific. "My grand sweater vest!" cried Waluigi, staring in heart-wrenching shame at the lysopene? I'm sorry, this is one of those words that I know exists, but I don't know what it means.
Yeah, I don't know what that word means.
It's another term for werewolf.
Is it?
I believe it is in the Potter expanded universe.
Because I
correct?
was gonna say it's got the lichen, so that would be lycopene.
Yeah, lycanthropy. That's what ketchup's made out of.
At the lycopene stain splattered on his once hallowed robe.
Rope?
"He is ruined," a shy guy customer
Hold on.
whispered to his wiggler partner. "His good hood has been stripped," a Goomba mused aloud.
Godhood.
A pit? His godhood.
He's no
you're
longer
right.
a god.
His own godhood.
I do like his good hood, though. Like, oh no, my good hood. "A pity," a thwomp breathed heavily.
God.
The restaurant owner furrowed his brow and grit his teeth. This man, in an absolutely shell of his form. This man, I guess, is in. This man in an absolutely shell of his former glory. Rid my domain of this filthy scourge. And now, Popcorn Jarvis.
Aye, aye, Captain, said two muscle-bound toads with serious biceps. They walked up to Waluigi and seized him by his scrawny purple arms. Moments later, Waluigi was face flat on the street, weeping into the asphalt, tears seeping down the smooth pavement into the sewer grates. As he struggled to rise, he was constantly beat down by the passers-by who shrieked in horror at the sight of his emanation? I don't know what that is. That a word?
Yeah. I do. Let me Google something unrelated for a second. Emanationism is the idea of cosmology and cosmology of a certain religious or philosophical systems. I almost forgot.
Okay. Mothers shielded their children's curious gazes. Husbands held their dear spouses close in fear of impurities. Even the trees began to wither at the encroachment of their innocence. Several hours passed of pain and suffering. Waluigi finally caught a break from the riots and was able to...
Those are unrelated.
and was able to return to his feet. To his shock and dismay...
He's been lying down the entire time.
He's been face flat on the pavement, on the asphalt, since the riots
He's crying
began.
into the sewer grate.
To his shock and dismay, the entire town had been abandoned. Streets were empty. There were just riots. That was very well orchestrated. Yeah. Streets were empty. Doors were locked, windows boarded, and skies hazy with misfortune.
I like that the weather's on board too.
I know.
Yeah.
They're
Nature
like, we're
is
outie.
fully bought in.
Nature is the opposite of healing.
Waluigi wept into his sleeve and ran away as fast as he could. But to where? I am curious. He finally reached his home after much ado. So that was much ado about something, I presume. He hoped dearly to receive a warm welcome from his brother. Instead, he was met with a hard fist to the nose. Why?
Jesus, classic Wario.
He cried. Why? Wario looked down at the mucus coating his white glove. You are not my brother. You are a tainted thief. Your evils are sickening. Be gone, demon. He took another swing, but Waluigi dodged and ran away into the forest. Great endurance.
I'm picturing
on Waluigi.
as he runs through the forest, left and right, the trees wilt as he's next to them. Like a trail of destruction.
Yeah, I believe the term is withered at the encroachment of their innocence.
That's right, yes. Their own innocence.
Yeah. What am I done? Waluigi wept as the trees around him slowly collapsed into defamed corpses. We called it.
It's
I was
canon.
careless with my lycopene consumption, and this is the horror I rue. Dirty barnacles. The crows
Catchphrase from the games.
SpongeBob.
dirty, but yeah, he does. The crow's cawed overheard before dropping to the ground as a reflection of darkness overload. That sentence feels like it might
It was
having a
overhead.
stroke.
It was the crow's
Oh.
cawed overhead.
Oh, overhead. Okay.
That's the. It's
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
hard to tell because this is showing you a bold new version of English.
The crows cawed overhead before dropping to the ground as a reflection of darkness overload. It still doesn't make any sense to me, but
Yeah, Jarvis, you sound like such an idiot the first time.
Waluigi cursed his sweater vest and his hamburger. Damn it! He gripped both sides and tore the abomination off of his being. Sorry. Oh, the sweater vest, not the
sweater vest,
hamburger.
yeah.
Sorry, that was...
I feel like as soon as he was punished for the status of his sweater vest, I assumed he'd just taken it off after being almost killed for wearing it.
But the other thing is that, like, in English, right? Like, we're not using like a direct object pronoun here. So I'm like, we're not being specific whether or not we're referring to the sweater vest or the hamburger. So he gripped both sides of what and tore the abomination. What is the abomination off of his being?
Wait. He still has the burger?
The way you were saying it reminds me of 6th grade English class, specifically the way you like corrected it. I remember I had an English teacher who used to write like, if you didn't do the things referring to the previous thing, they would put like in red pen, like he gripped both sides and then like arrow of what? Like,
No, but
specifically to make sure you said like of the vest. Yeah.
Wait, was your teacher Waluigi?
Yes.
Of what?
Of what? Yeah, because hamburger is the last thing referenced. So I'm only to assume that hamburger is what we're referring to.
I was not under the impression that he still had the hamburger.
I thought he left it. Well, he carried it with him?
Well, apparently I thought it was stuck to his body because he gripped both sides and tore the abomination off his being.
That's true. Maybe that's just to make it easier to eat.
Yeah. He wailed into the foggy dusk skies as he strained to regain his righteousness. Seconds passed like hours, minutes like eons. Finally, after much strife, the dark deed had been done. Waluigi discarded the two halves of his soiled tunic into the murky pond, fatefully slaying the frogs and microbes who never even had a chance. Pour some out for the microbes, dog.
Shout out to the microbes.
Those microbes.
They got absolutely bodied.
Those microbes didn't know what was coming to them.
He's faithfully slaying
Waluigi
these
had to do it
pussy-ass
to him.
frogs and microbes.
Dude, I be slaying microbes left and right. He prayed that he would be forgiven by Mother Nature and trudged back to his house with his mind wholly set on atonement. I feel like not much has happened, but Waluigi has been seeking atonement for like the entirety of this fucking story.
Yeah. And also, his atonement turned out to be taking off the clothes everyone hated.
Yeah, it's like, damn, man.
Pretty simple.
Or the
Problem
burger. Because everyone knows a burger can also be referred to as a soiled tunic. Wario opened the door. So Wario didn't skip town. Everyone else, like...
No. Well, actually, I believe
or
Wario
does
is the only
Waluigi
resident
not
of
live
the
in this
town.
Now
Everybody else has left.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So Wario,
By the way, Mike, if you're okay with it, I'd like you to read the last 2 lines.
Okay.
Sure, yeah.
Wario opened the door slowly, saw his unvested brother, and jumped to embrace him. You're beautiful again, brother. He sobbed. Tears.
Wait a minute. Is that Hulk?
Yeah, Hulk Hogan came out.
Brother. You're beautiful again, brother. Brother. He sobbed, tears splashing against Waluigi's solid complexion. So at least he's like got a healthy skin tone.
Skin looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, brother, I am whole, he replied, returning his hug. Also, I'm the narrator now. It's me.
Oh, wow.
The two went aside, binged house reruns, and played
Hell yeah.
Parcheesi.
That's
Oh
the
my
next
God.
esport,
After my heart.
Parcheesi. Okay. That was the day Waluigi learnt of transgression. That was the day we all learnt of the chains.
Finn.
Wait.
Shout out to Wario the Table Man for the story Waluigi's Lycopene incident.
I do like that you just called
man.
him the Table Man before, and now we have
I
learned that
wanted
his
to
full
be
name was
sneaky
Wario
about
the
it.
Tableman.
Well, maybe we'll make this a series. We'll read it another time. We have a Christmas-themed one and a Waluigi x Luigi fanfic.
Ooh, good.
I just like that the end is, that was the day that we learnt of the chains.
Of what? What chains?
Of shame.
I guess, yeah.
Of transgression. I wrote that for you. I found that for you, Shoobs.
Thank you.
I didn't
love
write it.
It speaks to me. I do
can't
always
write
pick
like that
Waluigi
unless,
in
like-
any Mario game that I can play possible. Like, I always
for
pick
sure.
him.
Well, this is somewhat of a follow-up to a previous segment we did where we read facts about Waluigi, one of which is that the voice actor based his voice on the emotion of shame.
Oh, that's true. And
We're
where
very,
does
very clear about that.
where does Waluigi's poem fit into this?
Oh, yeah, there's a poem about Waluigi. I don't
Or
like that
by-
it's singular.
or by
I think
him.
there's multiple.
Didn't he write a
Yeah,
poem?
by his
Isn't that
poem.
in one of the episodes we read a article, like a Screen Rant article or something about Waluigi facts.
Waluigi's lycopene facts.
Yeah. My favorite thing about writing is that this story took very basic concepts and stretched them out. Nothing really happened in that
No.
story, but we did hear a lot of description.
It felt like I was reading War and Peace again. Or Crime and Punishment. Just kidding. Crime and Punishment, which I did have to read in high school. And I remember it was the same thing of like, everything would be so described that a 50-page chapter involved Raskolnikov going down the stairs. And it was 50 pages.
It's an interesting reference point. It reminded me the most of Sun Tzu's The Art of War.
Yeah. And for me, it reminded me of Curious George goes to the store.
All he does is go to the store. Why is it 20 pages?
Why is it 20 pages long? You can just show me the picture of him at the store and I get the gist.
I mean, Mike, this is new for you, right? Because you just read this.
Yeah, I mean, this is the only non-Harry Potter thing I've ever read. So this is
Damn.
a great introduction to, literature beyond the 7 children series.
How's that
Yeah,
going?
so-
Oh, yeah, we do
Congratulations.
still have the fireplace going. I suppose I should pause, but
Welcome to Fire Boys.
Fire Boys, we're on fire. Then the Fire Nation attacked.
That's not bad at all. Is that the pod? Did we just do a pod?
We may have just done a pod.
We
We didn't get too deep into the emotions and things. Is there any emotionally vulnerable topics you want to dive into, Mike?
Oh man, I will say the one that has been, I guess, somewhat emotional. We touched on it a little bit, but I need to get my like work life balance back in a little bit where I'm working a little too much, and I feel bad that I'm not like doing enough things that aren't work. And it's just because like more things have gone on my plate as I'm like doing more podcasty things.
Right.
So I need to do a better job of figuring out like where I can delegate and then finding the intersection of like, when is it worth and in my better interest of paying someone to edit a podcast episode that I would normally edit, but like the time I'll save kind of thing.
Yeah.
I want to get that more in check. And also part of that is just like being more productive while I'm working,
right?
So that I spend less time working. So trying to like get rid of distractions.
Do you have
like the internet?
Is a component of that the fact that you no longer can go to the studio? You're recording at home?
Working at home makes me like, obviously I don't have to spend the time commuting, but I do find it easier to focus at the studio just because I'm not like in my apartment. And then like, I think it's easier in studio when I'm in the studio to like feel like I'm at work. So I'm doing more work stuff kind of thing.
Yeah. That's very
so
real.
It's kind of like one is better in that I don't have to commute and one is worse kind of thing.
When you have the realization that you're working too much, what are the triggers for like that realization? Like, is it something that you want to have time for that you don't? When do you think to yourself, oh, this is too much, potentially? I mean,
I think the biggest thing, especially since I've been quarantined up with my wife, is like when my wife is done with work and wants to do stuff and I'm like, oh, I got to edit the podcast kind of thing. Like, that's the easiest thing of like, oh, I should, like, yes, my job helps in that it's like more flexible than a normal 9 to 5, but it's unfortunately getting to the point where like it's too much where I need to like balance it out a bit more.
Definitely. I definitely relate to that. It's, I think for anybody who has the ability to sort of delegate a space in whatever space you have access to be a workspace and not like a relaxing space, I would recommend that. I learned this lesson in college that it's a really bad feeling to sleep and work in the same place because it associates those things in your brain and it becomes harder to relax in your relaxing spaces because it's the same place that reminds you of the shit that you need to do.
It also creates a dynamic between sleep becomes not a privilege but like fuel. It's like you turn food into a necessity instead of a joy. I mean, my bed is less than 4 feet away.
Yeah.
It's like literally right there. I live in one room currently. And don't get me wrong, I'm very privileged to be able to work. We are all very privileged to be able to work at home, not just in a normal 9 to 5 capacity, which I'm sure we've all done at some point from home. But quite literally, we could delegate pieces of our work because we determine the workflow and we're able to move pieces around. And our impact is very obvious if we do things well. That can be a little vaguer if you're working for an organization and nobody's actually telling you what to do, but expecting you to have done things at some point. Shout outs to people that are in that kind of position. Life is unexplored. It's a little like how some people have a lack of vocational satisfaction. Like, I've got my job, but I ultimately don't love it and it doesn't direct me. It can be the same with life. Like, truly, I have a lot more time than I used to now, and I genuinely don't know what I want to do. Even with the sad boys in the stream and the whatever else, I have 20 more hours in my week than I used to, and I don't appear to have any hobbies.
Yeah.
So I'm reading Waluigi Fanfic.
I would say to the point that you were making, Jordan, about like work-life balance. Yeah, I think it depends on how you view work, but if you view work as like not a positive thing, then work-life balance does feel like the bad stuff versus the good stuff.
Yeah, that's what makes it hard is that like my job is fun. I love my job and I'm very like fortunate to have it. It's just more of like I do feel bad that it's more of like how it affects other people, namely that like I am not as free to just like chill with Kelly and just hang out as much as if I had a job where at like 5 o'clock I could just be like, woo, I'm done. So it's trying to like, I enjoy the fact that my job is fun and flexible and I like it, but I need to also make sure it's not just like seeping out into everything because it's like, well, I have a cool job. So
no, same.
Which can be really, really hard to communicate to people mechanically. Like, even if somebody doesn't work in the same industry as you or the same career, but you're working a 9 to 5, you're going to an office, you're following a certain pattern, then they can at least go, oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure you had a crazy day. Hey, I don't know how the movie industry works, but you know, you were on set and now it's all wrapped up, and what a crazy experience that must have been, as opposed to, I put audio out. You may not know a single piece of how that works, so you might think that should take 4 hours or that should take 50 hours, and sometimes Mike is available and sometimes he isn't, and I can have no expectations because, well, neither can he, more often than not, I would imagine.
Yeah, I like, people ask me how long does it take in an episode? It's like, it's different every time. Some episodes are easier. Sometimes the recording is smoother. Sometimes my mouth makes 700 click noises that I have to keep editing out of the episode. Like,
yeah,
you never know.
First, I would say that like being able to think about like having the choice to make these sorts of changes in your life is a privilege. Not to take anything away from what you're saying, Mike. I just want to sort of say for our listeners that we do acknowledge that's a privilege to have the flexibility in career. And I know, like, when I was growing up, my mom who's taking care of me, or like the people taking care of me, like didn't really have a lot of options in terms of like free time and stuff like that, because it was very like in making ends meet type situation. But in terms of work-life balance, as traditionally thought, one, it's a balance with like what your needs are, what you want specifically, and then also the other people in your life, or the people that you share space and time with, and how your work affects them. There's a separate concern, which is like something that I fall into a lot, where I ask myself, am I still productive? Because working a long time doesn't actually mean doing good work. And it's often like a trap that we can like tell ourselves, is that like, well, this needs to get done, so I'm going to work here until I finish it, even if it's working at a 20% capacity for 5 hours, rather than like ending the day early, going and, spending time with people where they're going to value that a lot. And then you actually are able to work at normal efficiency for 1 hour the next day to fix it. Like it's sometimes hard, or at least I find it hard for myself, but I think it's just a difficult human thing to assess when you're in one situation versus the other. Like, I don't think it's fundamentally healthy to be, if you're completely engulfed in your work and your life is your work, that's all well and good, but something doesn't hit me right about just like not having balance in general, balance of like a number of things, because it seems, at least I know for myself, if I have all my eggs in one basket, it makes me disillusioned with the world. When I first started at Patreon, I was so hungry to like make a good impression that I was spending so many hours working, and especially at startups, it's almost the expectation that you're working outside of the 9 to 5.
Boundaries. And it's, don't get me wrong, there's like some tact in the way that's communicated. Nobody would ever say it explicitly, but it's very much a pressure, especially since
it kind of is just the
you've
vibe.
got peers doing it no matter what.
Yeah, at the very least, you have peers doing it, and so there's a little bit of a social. It's like social pressure that's not explicit, but it's like, well, these are my peers, and so I want to be a part of, like, I want to belong here.
Right. And like, and it's worst case scenario, I'm just underperforming because everybody else has 10 more hours in the week. Yeah.
Best case scenario, you're secure enough in your career and stuff to be able to put forth those explicit boundaries. But oftentimes, like, you don't have that much power. You don't have that position to be able to say, actually, this is a no-go for me. I'm gonna not step over this line.
You also don't know, because I mean, the only way anybody ever gets good at managing or setting their own expectations or limiting their imposter syndrome is through just hours and hours of grind. It's mastery hours, right? After 10,000, you can sit there and go like, okay, well, no, I know I shouldn't actually be working these hours, and I know this is actually unreasonable, or I should be proud of this.
Like, when I started Patreon, I was like really hungry to prove myself. And what I observed about myself during that time, and I have a very, I don't have an addictive personality to substances, but when it comes to like a one-track mind, I can get very like sort of locked in with a goal. And then while I'm trying to achieve that goal, everything else like goes to the wayside. And it's why when my shit's out of balance, my room gets messy, my dishes are piling up, because I'm just like focused on working. And what I realized from this like work experience is that if something would go wrong at work, it would ruin my whole fucking day. And it's like, should it? Should that have that? Like, because if my eggs are sort of distributed in my friends and, things that exist out of the context of work, and also I am personally distancing my value as a person from like my sort of work output, I think it makes me far more well-rounded, far more able to shake things off when they don't go, and ultimately better at my work itself, which is like kind of the non-intuitive angle of things. So those are just my like thoughts there.
Yeah. I think what can help with whatever your work situation is, and what will probably honestly help me the most with all of this, is trying to make the most of like when you're working, being as efficient as you can, so that you're not like you were talking about earlier, Jarvis, like you're not spending 12 hours on something working at 50% because you keep checking Twitter, your phone or whatever, but instead spending 6 hours on it working 100%. And then you have 6 more hours to just like chill. And I ran into that when I was an engineer, when I did that job and I didn't like it at all, but I just did it for the money. I would just like, when it was 5 o'clock, I would just fucking leave. And like, I didn't care what my peers thought of me. I didn't care what like my performance reviews was, but I knew in order, like Jordan, you said, like to feel secure in that, you have to make sure you put in enough work to be like, look, you guys aren't paying me overtime. And like, here's everything I did from 9 to 5 today. So like, if you do want me to work these extra hours, so, you know, like make me do it. So I think what can help with everything, and what I certainly need to do, is like when it's easier to just like focus on a thing, get it done, than it is to kind of spread out and, you know, not be as focused, because the payoff of the time you save by, you know, putting your shit together and like actually finishing the thing ends up in, oh, I can watch a movie with Kelly and not have to be like, I got to make sure I edit the podcast kind of thing.
Yeah. A big thing is being able to close the loop. What I was going to say is like, you have like an open parentheses or something, and then you like want to like close that before you change tasks, because leaving those things open kind of means that it like robs you of being in the moment. And this is something I'm so guilty of, where if I don't properly like tie a bow around what I'm doing in my brain, and like let my brain move on to the next thing, I may physically be in a different place, but my brain is still cooking on like whatever work I was doing. I'm not able to be present. And that takes away from the time I'm spending with other people. And also the relaxation I'm robbing myself of, because relaxation time watching TV on Netflix is instead spinning my wheels in my head about when I get back to work. And it's something I struggle with, especially because of ADHD, because it's like very easy to like latch onto a thing and be very hard to transition. So if anyone struggles with that, what my therapist has told me is like, if you say in your schedule, like, I'm going to do this until this time, and then I'm going to move on to this other thing, it can help to have that written down. It can help to like write everything that's in your brain before you switch tasks, maybe even what you're going to do next time, so that like those thoughts and ideas that could spiral into obsessively continuing to think about work can be somewhere, so that you don't have to worry about, if I don't stop thinking about it, maybe I'll lose this context. You know what I mean? Try to like codify that so that you can get a clean break from your task.
And the clean break is essential. I think especially with ADHD, you can reach a point where you're hitting a hyper focus. It doesn't happen all the time. It often doesn't. But if you're extremely passionate about something, you've hit your rhythm, you feel very excited about the thing that you're doing, there can be a point where you're like, okay, well, I said 4 hours, but now we're fucking moving, baby. 10 hours. Let's just go. Let's get this thing done. There are diminishing returns on those hours, and the hangover you get chemically is just not worth it. It's hard to stop when you've got forward momentum and hyperfocus, but the benefit greatly outweighs the consequences greatly outweigh the benefit. If you were to say, wow, I got those 4 hours in and I was very effective, now I'm going to save some juice for tomorrow or the day after or whenever it is, you'll actually have that juice. Whereas relying on yourself to just occasionally get obsessive and that be the time when you're successful, you're either just in complete mania mode and succeeding because you're operating at like a dangerous speed, or you're completely out of juice and not really bringing anything to the table. Is not a healthy way to live as somebody that has been doing that for quite some time. The majority of the news I got this week made me feel like I was survivable. The last year has been, you've lost everything and you just keep losing things. And the chunk of news that I've had in the last week basically made me go, oh no, I'm safer, and visas are a path that is still an option, and the person I'm seeing I might actually get to see ever again in my life. Like just like small mechanical pieces that I can get excited about. And the moment that happened, I got back into creative. And I do want to give a shout out to people that have major commitments and time sinks, and there often just is not a solution without fixing that. I can sometimes feel like creators present it as though it's just, hey, it's, you got to believe in yourself and it's your energy. And no, I mean, I got better at doing things like this. I mean, we started doing Sad Boys because we made very good salaries and we lived in a space where we could afford to buy hardware and had time to sit and record a show back in San Francisco. That was a point of privilege. If you work a shit ton of hours and you work 2 gigs, you really might not have the juice to make something, and maybe it's worth adjusting or getting more help with it. But I don't know. I want to fight back against people feeling guilty because they're not able to engage with this stuff, as some of their peers might be.
For sure. I definitely want to clarify that it's like, it is not the reason it makes me sad is not because it's because I have control over the situation. I think what makes me feel sad about it is like, I know that I do have the ability to make this not a problem. So when it becomes a problem, I feel bad about it because it's my fault.
Right.
Yeah. You're also struggling with circumstance, though. I mean, the not just the change itself, but you also brought on. You're now doing the 3 shows, which, obviously lazy. Get some more stuff in there. But yeah, the change in circumstances. I have to assume your workflow is so much harder now that. Is this the studio is a portion of that, right? But I imagine I don't know if you worked out of the office as well.
Just like little things like all this mic setup and stuff. Like when I go to the studio, I don't have to break down the equipment every time and set it up every time and all this other stuff. Like it's easier just going to the studio and just like plug it. It's already plugged into a computer. Just click record. Yeah. So it's a lot easier. So there's things like that as well. Trying to work, but that's the world we're in now. We got to figure out how to be our most productive work from home selves if you are a work from home person.
Yeah.
I wonder how long it'll take us to get over the inertia. Like, just the idea of going into a coffee shop and getting to write there is like very exciting for me. But at this point, my muscle memory is that is such a risk and unacceptable and a social faux pas, and sitting down with I haven't touched my laptop as a laptop in months. It's plugged into a desktop space because I never take it anywhere. Like, why would it's not a portable thing? I have it stuck on my monitor. Like, the idea of picking it up and having almost a nostalgic feeling of like, I remember what it was like to go to Phil's with a laptop. How quaint,
I was talking to someone yesterday about the subway, and like, I haven't taken it since January.
That's insane.
Which is just bonkers. And I'm going to have to like relearn all of the things like, oh, right at this stop, take off this exit, and like, oh, this transfer comes at this, like all of my little street smarts that I knew of how to like optimize subway. I'm gonna have to relearn all of that. My subway literacy.
I'm in a weird situation where like I moved to a new city shortly before COVID stuff, so I'm very comfortable at home, but I want to venture out more, but I'm not sure. It seems like everyone in Los Angeles is pretending COVID doesn't exist because like there's so many people like out and about at restaurants and stuff, and it's just like weird. And so I'm not sure, like, I don't know. It just makes me, I want to kind of get back to living a normal life, but I'm not sure how to find the balance. Though I do need to leave my apartment more because I'm not leaving ever, and it's bad.
I shit you not, in the town where I'm staying right now, it is a 95% no mask rate. Like truly none. The pubs are also open, meaning that they're full of old, heavily smoking men with no masks on in a small dirty environment. It's crazy to me. Like
New York's taking it seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, we got wrecked by it when it first happened, so that's why. So, but it is refreshing to see lots of people wearing masks, which was not the case when I was in Texas for 2 months. That was
my God.
Those people. I got made fun of for wearing masks when we stopped through Alabama, so that was cool.
I've heard of this happening. Yeah.
I mean, you're getting made fun of because the basis of why it's even a thing is men being insecure and then forcing that psychology onto the people around them. Literally what it is. It's purely like being at high school and like wanting to wear, some like clothes that you really like, and then somebody is being, oh my God, weird. No, dress boring like the rest of us. Don't have passions. What the fuck? You play video games? Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same weird gatekeeping, because ultimately the thing that we, toxic masculine wise, are the most scared of is being made fun of and being the victim of the alpha pack. And so it's just like, no, I'll risk my life and the life of others versus being a little embarrassed or getting made fun of, for sure.
Because I don't want to look like I'm weak by trying to keep other people alive.
I'd rather die. I'd rather die than look weak. Wait.
I'd rather be enfeebled and weak and die weak and enfeebled than...
wait, hang on.
Wait.
Anyway, we're all going to die. We end every episode of Sad Boys with a particular phrase.
It is technically true, I guess.
I mean, we are ending the show, but it's going to be okay, everybody. We're going to be fine.
None of you are going to die, because anybody that's a subscriber is going to stay alive.
We're all going to die, but of natural causes, hopefully, for most of us.
Yes.
Except for you. You know who you are.
You know who you are, Craig.
Oh, Craig. Thanks so much, Mike, for joining us. Check out your pods if you want to plug those real quick.
Yeah, Potterless is me reading the Harry Potter books for the first time as an adult. Never read them as a kid. Very silly and goofy. Just search Potterless. Horse is the basketball one we talked about, where it's basketball, but we make it so everyone can understand, and it's the opposite of gatekeeping. We've kicked the gate open so everyone can get in.
Nice.
And then Meddling Adults is a game show for charity where two contestants go head to head, and they try to solve children's mysteries from Encyclopedia Brown, Scooby-Doo, etc. And then the winner earns money for charity. Jordan was on a recording that will be coming out in a couple weeks. Jarvis, the invitation is open. We just scheduling. We had some telephone Twitter talk.
Let's
do
it.
We'll figure it out and get you on in the future. And
it's my favorite premise of any show.
It's a great premise.
Genuinely, so I love.
I think I'm very biased, but I think it's very good and it's fun. And you can search for that one, Meddling Adults, all that stuff. Just search them wherever you get your podcasts, or you can go to my website, which is Schubs, but it's schub.es. It's an official Spanish website, so I had to pretend that I'm from Spain.
Please do not let the government know. They will take it away from me.
I did have to put in my driver's license information when I registered the domain. It was very fun.
We end every episode of Sad Boys with a particular phrase. We love you.
And we're sorry.
Boom.
Gucci girl, how you doing?